So Rick Perry came out with his tax proposal. Governor Perry's tax proposal would have a optional 20% flat tax on every single American. Former House Speaker Newt Gingrich, who has a much broader tax proposal than the Perry plan, has an optional 15% flat tax on most Americans, on all Americans. Now, the difference here is people making between roughly $17,000 and $70,000 a year are in the 15% tax bracket. Now, both of these plans are optional, so people would have the choice to either stay on their existing federal income taxes or changing over to a flat tax. The problem here is that Americans making between that $17,000 and roughly $70,000 a year, under the Gingrich proposal, their taxes would be roughly the same as they are now. Rick Perry raises their taxes if they choose to go to a flat tax. Therefore, it is more likely that under the Perry plan, most Americans would still have to spend a lot of time going through the current tax code. Gingrich gives them a viable choice. So the reality is that Rick Perry's tax plan really doesn't benefit anybody. Of all the tax, it only benefits people making over $70,000 a year. Newt Gingrich's tax plan really benefits all Americans, whether it's a tax reduction or simply tax simplification. And Newt Gingrich obviously knows more about taxes because, frankly, Newt Gingrich knows more about every issue than Rick Perry. Rick Perry does not have the judgment nor the vision to be president of the United States. And this really goes to a broader problem that Rick Perry is having during this campaign, and that is that he doesn't know the issues very well. Now, the Perry campaign announced, well, not so much announced out loud, but sort of it's been leaked to the media that the Perry campaign is now going to try to destroy Mitt Romney. And we saw the beginning of this at the last Republican debate. And I think what you saw is you saw Rick Perry getting personal. I think the truth that Rick Perry doesn't know a lot about the different issues forces him to focus on Mitt Romney personally. Most of the attacks on Mitt Romney from the Perry campaign have been recycled attacks. They haven't been over issues, more recent issues. They've been going back to the past. You know, Republican primary voters know that Mitt Romney changed positions on a few issues. They know about his Massachusetts health care plan. And although they don't like it, he still has broad support within the Republican establishment. And they've looked to folks like Herman Cain and Speaker Gingrich as that alternative. But the reason that voters aren't looking to Rick Perry as an alternative is because the guy doesn't know the issues, and he's very weak on illegal immigration. No matter what Rick Perry says about Romney, Perry is probably the worst candidate on illegal immigration, having given benefits, taxpayer benefits to the children of illegals in Texas, in his opposition to a border fence, his opposition to the Arizona immigration law, and so on. So Rick Perry is not going to be the Republican nominee for president. He doesn't have a good knowledge of the issues. He doesn't even have much of a record to run on, despite being governor for how many years? 10 years, more than 10 years. He really didn't accomplish that much as governor of Texas. The things that he takes credit for were done under President Bush or other former governors of Texas. Rick Perry now has the support of two-time failing presidential candidate Steve Forbes, who developed this tax plan which raises taxes on the middle class for those who want to pay a flat tax. So what Rick Perry is offering the American people is a failed record on illegal immigration, no border security, and an optional tax increase on the middle class. And this is very different than the vision that I have, and I would imagine most Republicans and independents have for this country. The truth of the matter is that Rick Perry has nothing else but a tax to run on. His debate performances have been awful. He is not good on the campaign trail. He comes across as sort of out there, and frankly, he doesn't have a lot of credibility on issues. So he needs to resort to attacks. Now, I support Newt Gingrich for president. Speaker Gingrich is the candidate in this race who has stayed away from these kind of vicious attacks on his opponents. I don't have a problem with opponents trying to compare themselves with another candidate. What I do have a problem with is when they look to another candidate and they don't tell the truth about themselves. So when Rick Perry says he has a strong record on immigration, he does have a strong record on the issue, and that record is soft on illegal immigration. When he points to Mitt Romney hiring a landscaping company, that isn't really relevant. Romney didn't know that those workers at his mansion were illegals. Perhaps Romney could have given a better response other than saying, I'm running for office. He could have said it was just plain wrong. Very small. It was a technicality. I'm not saying Mitt Romney's perfect, but I am saying that if you want to go after Mitt Romney, do so based on fact, do so based on issues, and don't simply mock the candidate on a personal level. Rick Perry is taking, something that John McCain said in 2000 when a 527 group began making phone calls personal to him. He said that he wouldn't take the low road to the highest office in the land. Rick Perry is trying to take the low road to the highest office in the land. It's shameful, and I think Republicans and independents voting in the Republican primary should reject Rick Perry, reject his liberal immigration policies, reject his liberal spending policies, reject his optional tax increase on the middle class, and reject the dirty, slimy, unfair politics that he's playing in this campaign.